Hello everybody, welcome to Sane Game Studios. I am Sane, I'm an amateur game developer. Today we're going to be doing episode 4 of the indie side, and the game we're going to be looking at today is Look Outside. I'm really excited to do this one. Disclaimer before we get going, this video and this game contain graphic, gory images, and if you don't want to see those, stop watching. Now let's kick this video off talking about the fact that I had to do a disclaimer. That disclaimer was legitimately, well justified. This game should have a disclaimer before any major amounts of images of this game are displayed, because you do not want children seeing this game. And the fact that that is hilarious is also due to the fact that this game is pixel art, and I'm also pretty certain that it's pixel art made by one dude. I was doing a little bit of background research on this game, and it was actually submitted originally as a game jam game, and then it got so popular and people loved it so much, the guy just continued developing it and ended up making an entire game. I am not 100% sure how many people actually worked on this game. I do feel like there was a single person core who held the concept and kind of the IP in mind and knew where the game was going and what exactly the vision was for this game. I do believe that there were other people that helped. I don't think that this one guy made the soundtrack and just did everything. I'm pretty certain that it was a team of people, a rather small team, but a team. Let's talk a little bit about what this small team achieved. This small team achieved an absolutely incredible game. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm giving this game an 8.5 out of 10. It is that good of a game. There is no such thing as a perfect game, and there are a couple issues with it, but the issues that it has are far outweighed by the charm and the good things about this game. So if you've heard of this game, if you have heard of this game before, you probably know that this is a horror RPG, which in of itself is a bit of a unique concept. Most horror games are linear adventures and generally don't have an RPG mechanic. And I think the biggest reason behind that is due to the fact that RPGs are kind of about min-maxing, right? You start off with very little and very weak, and you end up with very much and very strong. And for a horror game, you don't really want your players to feel very strong or feel like they have very much, because it's that scarcity that builds up suspense. But this game actually manages to maintain that scarcity for the duration of the game for the most part. And they do it through some pretty unique mechanics. This game has a weapon durability mechanic that is done much different than most other games in how they do weapon durability. Most games do equipment durability through an undisplayed health bar that your weapon or armor or equipment has. And as you take damage, a small amount of that damage is impacted onto the equipment or weapon, which causes its condition to drop, and then eventually the weapon breaks. With this game, the way that weapon durability works is that every single time you use your weapon, you are rolling the dice as to whether or not it's going to lose a condition state. And there's only really 2 condition states that I encountered, and that is damaged and broken. And when it's damaged, you get a little bit of stat loss, but you also know that your weapon's about to break. But unlike most games, it's not as if you have a rough idea of how long it's going to take to break. Every single time you use it, you are rolling a die, and there is a small chance that you are going to drop your condition. And you drop it twice, your weapon breaks. You might have a weapon last you half the game. Super unlikely, but possible. You might have a weapon last you a battle. Also unlikely, but definitely happened to me. I actually haven't beat this game yet. I am still working on it. I do thoroughly enjoy this game, and I am actively playing it. But one of the biggest complaints that I've seen going through the Steam reviews and stuff is the balancing at the end game. Apparently, you do end up being able to just mow through enemies. But I also just don't think that's a bad thing. There's something really satisfying, regardless of the genre, of going from being very weak to being able to just plow through almost anything. But this game, it's released, but it's almost early access. It's not officially early access, but the developer is still actively working on it. And they are paying attention to the Steam reviews and paying attention to the community and looking at what does or doesn't need to be changed. And that's commendable. lot of game studios have been doing that lately, mostly the small ones. The bigger ones usually don't give two craps about its user base as long as they're selling copies. Honestly, my biggest complaint about this game is the movement and interaction system. I believe you can move with WASD. I'd actually have to fire it up again to double check that. The primary way to move is point and click, where you just move your cursor to where you want to go and you give it a click and you move towards it. And honestly, it works fine. My only real gripe with it is that if you are trying to walk down a hallway, and this game takes place in an apartment building, so you will be walking down hallways, and the camera is panning with you, you're going to put the mouse a little bit ahead of where you are and just hold it so you continuously walk, right? But then eventually you will come across the door that you want to be entering, and you will go and you'll be holding it and you'll put it on that door. And I found that that interaction to be a little finicky. I always found that as I was trying to enter the door, my mouse is kind of bouncing all over the place and going side to side. And that's more of a player error than a gamer error. The game is doing exactly what it's being told to do, and it's doing it flawlessly. What I should have done is when I saw the door, I should have put my mouse over the door and released the left mouse button, which would have taken me to the door and then opened it and I would have entered it. That's how the game was meant to be played. But that is just not how me as a player intuitively went about it. And I do want to say that's player error, but at the same time, games should be taking into consideration what players intuitively do. I also found myself trying to save as much as possible, not because I felt like I would get a game over, but more because I was scared that my weapon was going to break the first time that I used it. I've done 2 or 3 playthroughs, not playthroughs, but soft locking myself and then restarting it. And it was mostly due to the fact that I didn't have any money to spend at the store to buy a weapon, and I didn't have any weapons that could actually do what I needed a weapon to do. The enemies were getting too strong and my weapons were breaking too quickly, and I got really paranoid about breaking what few weapons that I had, and I would save. But there's also something to be said about the benefits of that. There were a lot of times when I had much better weapons than the one that I was actively using. And that was because I wasn't willing to take out my big boomer awesome weapon unless I was fighting something that was big, scary, and I knew would mess me up. But then you don't really know exactly what's happening until you actually enter the battle sequence, because it's a turn-based battle system. And as far as I could figure out, there's really not much information on tutorials for the game on the internet or anything. I found it really difficult to try to look up what it is that I needed to do. But I couldn't find any information on being able to change weapons mid-battle. So you would be looking at the sprite of the enemy that you're about to fight in the world and trying to decide what kind of enemy was going to be in the battle sequence, and then trying to gauge what weapon you initiated it with. And sometimes you grab the right weapon, and sometimes you don't. I'm not going to get too much into what the story is about, because the last thing that I want to do is try to spoil a game that I firmly believe that you should go out and play. But the story, it starts off with a huge what the hell is even going on, and then that feeling of what the hell is going on just spirals. And it's almost like you're trying to not just survive in this apartment building turned horror show, but also trying to uncover the mystery of not only what happened to your neighbor specifically, but also what's happened to everybody and what is actually going on. I honestly can't even really recommend this game enough. It cost me $12.99 Canadian on Steam. So I'm not sure how much money that is going to be for you. If you are in Canada, it's going to be $12.99 plus tax. If you're in the States, I don't know the conversion. I'm not American. But what I am saying is go onto your Steam account and go ahead and look it up and play it. My computer runs it fine, and as I have said in a previous video, my computer is about as powerful as 2 potatoes powering a light bulb. So if my computer can run it, your computer can run it. Like I said, I'm going to give this game an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10. I honestly can't recommend it enough. It is a great game with super messed up visuals that are, it's crazy how gruesome and gross they are, while also just being pixel art, which pixel art's usually known for being cutesy. You just get to see that entire perspective of pixel art be flipped right on its head, and just see the grotesque end of pixel art, and it is beautifully done. So take a piece of advice from good old Zane here, go onto your Steam account and get yourself Look Outside. You will not be disappointed. It's been getting like raving reviews for a good reason. Honestly, that's all that I have to say about this game. I'm going to keep this video short and sweet for a couple reasons. One, play it and buy it yourself. And two, I don't want to spoil it, so cutting it a little bit early. With that, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. If you have any games that you would like me to do an episode of the Indie Side on, please comment them down below. If you have anything to add about what I have said about Look Outside, please let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please give it a like, and also please consider subscribing to my channel. That's all I got for you today. I hope you guys are having a great one. Peace out.